It's another great weekend, and we're very so excited to have you join us today on Enterprise Television. I am Henry Igwebike, and today, of course, we'll be going through all that we have from our newspapers, and hopefully we would have more than enough to talk about this weekend. Of course, from Monday to Friday, it's always hard news, but of course, for the weekend, we try to soften that a little bit so we can, of course, have that great time right here on Enterprise Television. Please do well to be part of what we do. If you may, you can always reach us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV 7. We have with us right here in our studio David Ikojo. Thank you so very much for being here. We truly do appreciate your time.
It's always nice to be on the show, Mr. Henry.
Beautiful. So let's kickstart today from a Saturday Punch newspaper to get to see some of the things that we have. Akpabio Kuka lead delegation to Pope Francis burial, and that is on the bottom strip there. And we have still on the same story, 2027 Atiku slams Tinubu as Kwankwaso ways option. It's really a very big fracas there happening in our political scene in Nigeria, and every politician deciding where to go or where not to go. But let's take a look at other stories here. EFCC fumes as motivational speaker demand 18,000 naira dollar for a mentorship. And we're talking about Dr. Stephen Akintayo, who has asked that his followers should provide $18,000. We're talking about 13 million naira at a time like this, at a time when Nigerians are still bleeding. But David, I'd love you to speak to the issue of mentorship. Is mentorship really needed for anyone to become a millionaire?
Mentorship is only needed for people who know what they want to do. If I know I want to go into this line, I know I'll need someone who would hold my hand. But eventually I want to become a politician today, I'll need to know the background. I need to, even if I know my current affairs back to front, I'll still need someone who will show me the practicals of how things are done. So that by the time I get there, or by the time if I just jump inside like that, I don't know what's happening, I'll jump in, jump out. Very simple as that. So mentorship is actually very important. But to the extent of what you said right now, I don't particularly think people need to be mentored.
People need to be mentored to become millionaires?
I don't think people need to do that.
Okay, so in the jet age like we have today, with the proliferation of technology, social media, and the informations are almost out there for free.
Exactly.
You don't necessarily need mentorship.
Mentorship. You only need to know what to do. You only need the to-do list. Let's say you want to learn how to do video editing. I keep telling people, everything you need to do, or everything you need to learn is on YouTube.
Okay.
Either maybe one Indian person has done it or Chinese person has explained it. It is always there on YouTube. So, this thing has become so rampant that even on TikTok, you see people, they will post, affiliate marketing, ghostwriting, copywriting, and then by the time that you DM them, how are you doing this thing? Teach me how you do this stuff. They'll now say, I will give you a PDF of what you read to know what to do. They will not say you should pay for the PDF. This one is small money that they will call. Let's say 50, 150. But that's stealing, because on your page, why should I believe that, I don't know, is stupidity that someone who's posting, I make $100 this week, I make $2,000 this week. At the end of the day, I'm messaging you, how are you doing this thing? You said if you want to learn, I should come to your DM, Abby. I DM you. And now you are telling me I should pay you 50,000 naira to learn. How is that possible? Someone that is already making millions should not be asking for 50,000 naira.
Yeah.
So exactly, all these things start little by little before we can even get to the threshold of $18,000 alone.
30 million naira.
A lot of people in UK themselves don't make $18,000 a year.
Yeah.
Let's not even say that living conditions is good. There people you gather here. By the end of the year, maybe you've made like $5,000 on all your, let's say your balance sheet, $5,000 in and out. You now come and bill a Nigerian $18,000 to sit down with you for an hour. That's robbery. That's not fraud. That's robbery.
Well, because I think it's very important that we see this at the time when we have Ponzi scheme proliferations here and there. We just had the closure or the forfeiture of
You
Seabex.
see, you see
Yes.
that Cibex thing of it. Cibex was not the first. The means was different. First there was I forgotten the name of this company, but they targeted farmers,
Okay.
right? They went to the village, they built this very beautiful standing story building, and then went to farmers telling them that, okay, if you give us so and so money, by the end of the month, we'll give you so and so. That's how it always starts. You will start little. There's always, let's say, 5,000, 14,000, something you can easily afford, and then, okay, by the end of so and so period of time, it will have doubled, right? So you give the first time people did, it worked out. By the time it works out for you, you start telling your friends, oh, this is how you do again. By the time you get a return this time, maybe the second time you try and you get a return, you start aiming for higher. Now this higher that you are going for, you might have to borrow money here, you might have to borrow, which people did, borrow 500,000 here, borrow 700,000 here, you put it inside. By the end of the 3 months, they disappeared. That was the first one. Then came rack steady, which obviously I did. I was still in university at that point.
How much did you lose at the time?
Over 100 and something thousand for a student. Actually, it was very simple. You put 7, you get 14. You put the 14, you get 28. Put 28, you get.
Just similar to MMM.
Exactly, it keeps doubling as you keep doing monthly. By the end of the day, what happened was they disappeared. Just like the way CBEX too disappeared. So I feel like people who fell for rack steady, maybe majority of them would not have fallen for this, because what many of us decided in the back of my mind was, okay, this CBEX now, I'll do 1 month, I'll do 2 months. Like, I'll use heavy money, do 1 month, 2 months, which as it's still fresh, let's be doing and be going now. So when it's now feel like, okay, it's 4 months already, this thing might start shaking, you start putting small money.
Well, it doesn't really work that way. Most times, human beings were so insatiable.
Exactly.
This hunger to want to gain more. So every day you keep giving yourself this hope, that it will double. And which is, I would love to believe, very similar to what Dr. Stephen Akintayo has just done. It's more like a Ponzi scheme where you ask people to pay $18,000 to you.
It's not a Ponzi
and
scheme,
no, it is. Because okay, you actually have elevated it. Actually, I was even trying to make it a little bit smaller, but David has just made it more. It's more like robbery, because I do not understand how you would allow people in a desperate time like this to pay $18,000 for you to mentor them in a society where people can't even afford a band A, in a society where, who exactly is that meant for? Is it meant for millionaires like you who equally do not need you to mentor them so they can be better? I do not understand.
The thing about mentorship is, okay, now I want to build a house, and I want to be the one who spearhead my building. I want to oversee everything instead of hiring someone that might eat money out of my money and give me a very wrong structure, right? So I go and I meet someone who I trust, who would sit me down. Okay, this is the amount of blocks you will need per line. This is the kind of iron you will need to do so that the building doesn't slack, it doesn't fall off. By the time I pay that person for that information that I got, that is proper mentorship. I'm going to get something better than what I just paid for. Now, people that are going to be paying that $18,000, how sure are we that they will get at least half of what? Back?
At the time that it's expected. Well, it's all built on faith, and that's why sometimes I just question the Christendom also, which had made this very rampant all over the place. They all treat the ecosystem like a bet, where you give and you take back, or you receive back when the time is. The duration is not there. But let's take a look at other matters making newspapers. David, let's speak to this other issue. Inside Nigeria's morgue, where humans, rodents, compete for body parts. Now, morgues, of course, are, can we say, the mortuaries, right? Where people who are late, who are died, are allowed to. Recently? Okay.
It's supposed to be recently dead people.
Okay, recently dead people are kept in the morgue.
Then from there, you go to the cemetery.
Oh, you go to the cemetery.
What is keeping people long enough in the morgue to start having issue with rats?
Yes.
It means that body has been there, is decaying.
Oh, for a very long time.
Yes. The rats have now become carnivorous to be eating the bodies. But there's no need. Morgue is okay. Let's say this person died today, and we need to keep this person for an ample amount of like 14 days.
Okay.
Let's prepare for the burial. We'll take to the cemetery. That's what the morgue for. I don't think you keep a body that you would be oiling up for the next 14 days, and rats will be coming there to be, you'll be having issue with rats. So definitely those bodies have been there for a very long time before we have this rat infestation. And a morgue where there's a rat infestation should be shut down as fast as possible, because let's say a political issue arises and we need to do tests on the body to know the cause of death, that would have scattered everything by the end of the day.
Because it's actually very funny, because the morticians that we have today, if you take a look at the way they operate their business, you know, we grew up knowing that morgues are usually like the cold rooms. You know, but now it's no longer the same thing, because they don't even have electricity to even power it. So they have this traditional way of doing it, like the old, you know, Egyptian people usually used to, you know, keep their dead ones. I love to believe that's the technology or the science they are using now.
The science
without electricity.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
Like the mummies, you know.
I get what you're saying. I doubt that Nigerians will go. The process of mummifying a body is very expensive and is only done on Pharaoh.
But the one we do right now in Nigeria without necessarily having electricity, and you keep a dead body for a very long time.
We just keep the body.
They don't smell. They
smell. Obviously.
The smell.
They smell. Now those bodies are not particularly always kept in the open. By the time the body starts smelling, they put it into a confinement where like the smell doesn't come off. Just keep it there.
They dip them. There's a pool of whatever chemical they have. They deep down inside the pool and all.
Yeah. You know, if you want to preserve a dead body, there are specific ointments you use to rub over the body to keep it fresh and intact. Okay. That ointment alone is quite expensive to buy, to keep. Which, if you buy, it should at least take you a few days, right? That few days is the amount of days that the body should be in the morgue. By the time that oil runs over, the body starts to decay. Even as the oil is there and you are using it, the body is already decaying from the inside. So don't outside that you are preserving. It's just to make sure, okay, by the time we take this person to the cemetery, we are doing the burial, the body will still look fresh.
And the family come to, you know, lying in state, and also they cannot, you know, they can see their loved ones, you know, in good condition and really not looking, you know, defaced and all. But David, let's take a look at other matters here. Help. My wife disappeared with my 4 kids and property, a journalist. And this issue of women, you know, abruptly leaving with children that they've had with husbands for so many years is becoming very rampant now. And one will still struggle to understand why that is the case. What kind of quarrel can lead to a woman just taking off with the children and running away?
Except she saw another man outside.
With the children meeting another man?
Obviously.
Really?
Except she saw another man outside. Let's put that aside and say they've been having issues. Now, for a lady to wake up one day and decide that she's running away, she has a very good plan. Because I know it's men who do things impromptu. I don't think a woman wants to put her children on the line by just deciding to do that, let's run. So possibly the issue has been there, it's been persistent, and she's been, you know, tackling it, but there's been no good solution to the way it should be. Maybe solution, we fight today, the matter goes down another 2-3 weeks, and it starts again. It goes for another long period of time, over and over and over. She decides that, okay, I'm going to take my children and run for my life. So now she will have to plan, because I don't think she's going to take the kids and go and be living under a bridge. So obviously something would have happened in the house. Now in this line of journalism, it takes you out of the house a lot of times. Let's say he is particularly most times not available, or maybe the funds are not just enough. So maybe she has to find means to, you know, have someone around who would also, because it takes 2 to run a home. So maybe the man disappears for, let's not say he disappears, he leaves for work for maybe 2-3 weeks and then comes back and then goes back again, which obviously she wouldn't like. She tackles it, no obvious solution to it. It continues persistently. She has to find a way to run.
So possibly a consistent abuse can lead to that.
Running out of the house, yes.
But my question actually is, what then happened to this long-term marriage that we used to have with our fathers? our grandpas and grandmas, where they stayed for as long as possible, 70, some go as long as, staying for the rest of their lives. But now marriages do not last any longer. Who do you think should be blamed in this instance? Is it the man or the woman who doesn't have enough tolerance to keep a home and stay put despite the issues that might be coming up?
I've said this before. The women of the 90s,
Yes.
the women of the 2000s to 2010, and the girls of 2010
That the Gen
to
Zs.
2025 are three species of people.
Okay.
They are not the same. Now the people of, let's even put the millennials now from the 1990 to 2010 together. Now those, let's call them the millennials. Millennials were raised up in a way that, okay, you are a girl child. What you should do is go to school, learn how to wash plates while you're doing that, learn how to cook in your mother's house, learn how to do this, keep a home. And by the time you are done with school, the next thing to do is to find a husband. Now, those women are raised with the virtue of a wife.
Okay.
These ladies that are coming up now are not raised that way. They are being raised as independent women.
Okay.
Women who want to do things for themselves. So let's say there's a lady who, one, is a first class graduate medical doctor who has her medical certificate. She gets married. Let's not even say she marries someone of her caliber. She gets married to a very rich person who obviously is giving her everything that she needs. In her, she yearns to work. She yearns to have something for herself. And he does not allow. That's, they would say, a form of abuse in the women community. Not letting them express themselves the way they want to be expressed, right? So she tackles, and along the line, maybe she sees someone who will, okay, of a lower caliber of a man, who would, okay, let her do what she wants to do for herself and still love her the same way. There is an 80% chance she will leave that rich man for the less person. So women who were raised before, like in older generation, were raised to be housewives. They were given the, the morals, the virtues to keep a home, that even if your husband goes 3 months, that house will be there, and you will come back and you will not meet any form of. Now if you leave home and there is a break in communication for a few hours or maybe a few days, by the time you get back, even in your explanation, there's always an issue. I won't call them woke women. I will just say that there are people who, they are intelligent. Women before, they didn't go to school to go to work. They just go to school to know 1 or 2 things.
Yeah.
Now they are going to school to make a living for themselves. Killing them at home is not going to work.
Wow. So which means our future is very, very bleak, knowing that we have Gen Z and the Gen X, that might really not be able to keep a family.
There's something else to add to that now. Now, instead of raising men to be the breadwinners of the house, they also have to raise them to put the women in perspectives. They are not going to feel like slaves. They shouldn't feel like, oh, all I'm doing here is cooking every day. All I'm doing here is to give birth to children. All I'm to do here is just to put food on the table. By the time you train a child, a male child, to, okay, this is your house. Whatever you say stands. Whatever, the house is not going to stand, of course.
Well, I would love to believe this still boils down to the families that we have. As much as we believe there are stages and phases to life, from 78 to about 1992, and millennials from 1993 to 2000, whatever, Gen Zs, the Gen X, and so on. It still boils down, I would love to believe, on the family. Even if in 2025 you have a girl child, as a parent, you still owe that your girl child the responsibility of giving her the millennial type of exercise and discipline. And that would still make her the millennial child who can keep a home even if she was born in 2025, isn't it?
Yes,
very true. So just before we call it a wrap for today, let's take a look at other matters here. We did talk about how that the millennials, women born at those times, were good women who supported their family. We have a story here. Why I chose to become a commercial bus driver. Woman battered by Lagos dogs, of course, popularly known as Agbero. Let's assume, right? that this lady, all right, is a millennial, because for a woman to decide to do commercial bus driving in Lagos of all place,
Mr.
that
Henry,
woman is strong enough,
Mr. Henry,
strong-willed.
Mr. Henry, I've been to Kogi State
Yes.
recently, right? I see women riding bike, right, doing Okada walk.
Okada,
Yes.
not
So
riding it to their farms
not
or
riding to
taking
their
their
farm,
family.
doing Okada walk. So at this point, economy is very bad. That even the wives at home who are supposed to keep the home, let's not even put sending children out to sell orange and come back. The wives who are supposed to keep the home are now having to join hands into going outside to struggle and make ends meet for their family. That's a very bad economy.
Very, very stubborn
Very
economy.
bad. Because everything is going up, but the monetary value keeps degrading every time. Food that we make in Nigeria is now unaffordable to Nigerians. So how do we feed people who, the north is where most of our crops come from.
Yeah.
Feel that we send these crops from the north all the way down to the east and to the west. It's expensive. So by the time you pay for fuel costs and then you add your own interest, food becomes unaffordable to the low man down there. Who actually cares? Who is actually taking care of the poor man in Nigeria? Nobody. Because no one is thinking to the aspect of that. I saw a video of someone who said, I think, I don't know if he's an influencer, but he went to a restaurant and he used 2,500 to eat. And he said, oh, that's the bare minimum. Every Nigerian should be able to afford 2,500. I tell you, in America, $1 is enough to eat good food and you'll be done and you'll be full and you'll walk about your day. $1 in Nigerian currency is like 1.5. That's 1,000 extra, 2.5 what the person is getting. That's a failed state. That's very bad. I don't. If I say this thing that Nigeria is not looking like a country most young people want to live in, because by the time we go outside the country and we see living conditions, okay, all we have to do is pay house rent monthly, right? Pay the phone bill, pay these utilities, and you still have an ample amount of money to live comfortably and then still save comfortably to live a good life. Most Nigerians want to come back home wherever they go to. Here in Nigeria, we're struggling with lights. We can't even afford fuel to run a business. There are countries in Africa where they don't have light outage. They don't even. I don't think if you don't have light outage, I don't think you need to buy that much fuel to run a business when there's light 24/7. You just have to make sure your meter is paid and you will have light. That's very simple. But here in Nigeria, after banning us, the government has decided that they want to do solar for themselves alone. We can't sit down. If, let's say, we want to fight light issue, let's make power supply constant. We have enough land to build windmills. We have enough water to build another dam. We have enough resources that would generate light for us, but no, we are tackling fuel instead. And even in tackling of the fuel, it's getting bad every day.
Well, that's a very complex matter here, with lots of details, lots of statistics that there's a pro and con about it, and what we should do, what they should not do, why we need so much money to invest into the ecosystem of energy production in Nigeria, the transmission, distribution, and so on and so forth. Lots of things actually that needs to be, put in place in order for us to get that going. But of course, it has gotten to a stage where women now choose to do commercial bus driving, which has led to this woman being battered by the thugs in Lagos. But just to digress a little bit on the funny side, David, do you think women are better drivers? Because have you ever seen a woman drive before? They drive like they own the road. No care for other road users. They just feel that you should give them chance to move.
I don't think they are better drivers.
They're not, is it?
They're not better drivers.
Good.
At all. They just, like you said, they just feel like they own the road. So by the time they get there, you obviously see, I've seen a lot of women shout at other drivers to crew. And obviously the men will always give way, because by the time you hit her boss, it's going to be a big issue. If the fight erupts, you are going to lose. So instead of harming your, adding costs by hitting her car and also damaging your car, you let her go simply. but I don't think they are better drivers at all.
You're very, very true. And just to say, I do not think, I understand the fact that women should hustle, right? They should support their family and their husbands and their children. But commercial bus driving, no, 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 no. It is not. It is not. It is not in the place of women, because it's a very, very, very difficult position to be in, apart from just driving. Men have a way of taking care of their bosses and their vehicles. When there's fuel shortage, they know how to siphon fuel from one tank to another. Women can't do that literally. Going under the bus itself to maybe correct one nut that is trying to lose. Women can't do that, obviously. So that is one business I love to believe women shouldn't go into. And who knows, maybe that could be the reason why she was battered by the thugs, for maybe talking back at the thugs rather than, seeking a better way of dealing with the issue. But of course, that's all we have for the weekend today. I'd love to say thank you to you. We had the opportunity of making it soft, making it a little bit mild, because of course it's the weekend, the time for us to relax and enjoy ourselves. Please do well to visit us if you may. You can always find us at enterprisetvnews.com. You may equally like, comment, and follow us on all our social media platforms at Enterprise TV7. Thank you so very much, David, for being here.
Thanks.
We truly do appreciate you once more. And just to let you know, if possible, every weekend, possibly, if it's possible, if David has the time, we would always, have him to come talk a little bit about the lighter side of politics and every other thing that goes with it. My name is Henry Gribike. Thank you for watching once more. We'll see you bright and early the weekday. Bye-bye.
Enterprise TV, a tradition of truth.